In the fast-paced world of this new emerging industry, where money and connections often dictate success, one young entrepreneur set out to defy the odds. This is the story of college dropout William Goodall, the mastermind behind Bay Smokes, a multi-million-dollar plant empire built from the ground up. No investors, no special relationships, just sheer determination and an eye for opportunity. From recently signing a deal with rapper Lil Baby and his Wham brand, to working with some of the biggest names in hip-hop like 21 Savage and many others, Will is absolutely a marketing genius. This episode is going to be very interesting, folks. We are going to break down the success of Bay Smokes. Welcome to this featured episode of the High Design documentary series, where we will follow some of the most successful entrepreneurs in the space and tell their story so that we may inspire and educate up-and-coming entrepreneurs to find their own success. Strap in, hit the like button, and follow us on all socials. The links are down below in the description. Anyways, welcome to High Design. This is LMC. Let's run it.
What if I told you that you could legally sell ZA online? Most of you already know what I'm talking about, and if you don't, go watch the documentary I released a year ago on this whole phenomenon, because we've entered a new era. Quick note, before we dive in, apologies for the delay on the new documentaries. I know it's been some time. I'm covering all of these stories. This started to take a toll on me. Got my health back in order. I hit pause and lost some weight, and I'm feeling way better. And no, it wasn't Ozempic. But after more than 4 years of making high design documentaries, I believe we've crossed into a new chapter. I'm marking this documentary, as the start of season 2. I'm doing 3 seasons total, and then I'm done with the High Design series, and hopefully it doesn't take 12 to 15 years to finish, but if it does, so be it. My goal with this series is to serve as the primary documenter of the pioneers and entrepreneurs in this emerging legal industry. So, why call this a new era? Well, because we've entered the internet era of the ZA industry, in my mind. For folks who aren't aware, YouTube forced me to use euphemisms like ZA so I don't get demonetized or suppressed. So sorry, deal with it. I know people hate that. But season 1 was focused on the rise of California/West Coast brands and the influence of the New York market. But thanks to the 2018 Farm Bill and broader legalization across the US, the scales have started to balance, giving people in other states a real shot at success. Yes, California brands still dominate globally, but we're now seeing entrepreneurs from all over the country rise through different opportunities created by the Farm Bill. So if you haven't seen the documentary that I mentioned a little bit earlier, here's the short version of the 2018 Farm Bill. It kicked off online sales by allowing people to sell regular ZA products and direct to consumer under the legal classification of AKA. Some states have banned to protect their local markets, but plenty still allow it, effectively creating a federal pathway for interstate commerce. Now, if you want the full picture, like I said, go watch my 45-minute documentary. It's a deep dive that I did almost a year ago. It's the most in-depth explanation of this phenomenon on the internet, the 2018 Farm Bill. But anyways, season 2 marks the beginning of true online ZA sales at scale. Entrepreneurs can now build real economies of scale, cultivate, manufacture in 1 or 2 states, and then ship to 30 plus states, either straight to customers' doors or through massive smoke shop distribution networks. With far less ridiculous regulation and taxation than the corrupt state markets with sky-high barriers to entry, we finally have real competition. And that means someone with very little startup money can launch online and slowly grow into a multi-million-dollar ZA company. Enter Will Goodall of Bay Smokes. So for the last 3 to 4 years, I kept hearing the name Bay Smokes. At first, it was a rumble, then louder and louder each year, until by last year, it was everywhere. They were everywhere. Whether from controversy or brilliantly executed marketing, you couldn't avoid it. In early 2024, I reached out to Will, and that turned into me traveling to a couple different states to spend about a week with him and really understand his story and his rise in this industry. And what I found shocked me. Will is a 26-year-old from North Carolina who dropped out of college with no money He started Base Smokes at 22 and has grown it into an e-commerce company generating anywhere from $50 to $80 million a year in revenue.
Yeah, it's
Can I make a guess?
I'll give you a guess and I'll just say like over or under.
Over under?
Yeah, I'll give you a guess and I'll let you say I'll say over or under. And you can say like
And we're talking annually, right?
Sure.
Annually 50 million?
Over.
Oh shit, bro, that's crazy, son.
Now, before we start, there are 3 types of people that are going to watch this video. First, the folks curious about the story and the industry. I'm glad you're here. Second, the haters in the comments who won't take anything useful from this. And then third, the builders. Whether you love or hate Will and Base Smokes, you should study undeniable success. So follow my analysis of the tactics and strategies that took Will from a college dropout with 0 startup investment money to a multi-millionaire at 26. If you're in this game or want to be the third type of person watching this. Anyways, let's start at the beginning.
Somebody just commented and asked me, how did I get here? How did I get successful as an entrepreneur? Well, let me just tell you where I am. I'm 21. I dropped out of college. I only stayed in college for like a year and a half. I dropped out initially because I started selling various different products online. I was drop shipping. I later stopped doing that because I didn't really like it. I wasn't very happy doing it. But it taught me a lot of very important things. From there, I went on to start probably 6 or 7 different various businesses. Each I would go at hard, like full day, all day, every day, all days a week, just trying to make something work. There were 6 different businesses, mostly related to social media or selling things online. I would make a little bit of money on each one of them before kind of stopping and realizing it's not really what I wanted to do. But each one taught me so much about what I'm ultimately doing and what I'm working towards now. I learned that life is a journey, and for me, all I do is set a destination and work towards it.
Okay, so Will grew up in Raleigh, North Carolina. He was a bright kid, got along with everyone, had a few friends, but was still kind of a loner, did a lot of sports, always had a business mindset. He played a lot of sports, like I said, in high school, and got a bunch of concussions, like 10 or so. During high school, he started using CBD to help with his headaches. And after high school, Will wanted to get out of North Carolina. So he went to college for a few years in Arizona.
But yeah, I grew up in Raleigh, and then I went to college in Arizona at Arizona State University for biomedical engineering. I had like a half scholarship, otherwise the school was pretty expensive. And I had money saved up, and I blew through all of that money in like the first year. And I'm like, oh fuck, like I do not want to take out a student loan. And I met a bunch of kids that were like, they came from families of entrepreneurs, and like I just saw a side of the world that I've never seen before.
Business, and then finally it started to take off, and he came back and he said, Mom, I'm not going back to school. And I said, that's okay, because it's not right for everyone, and he's had no trouble being successful even without the degree.
Well, and what sort of that made me see is that everybody's path is different, right? And I always believed if you didn't think college was for you, you can find success in other things, right? If you wanted to be a plumber, electrician, work in the trades, truck driver, whatever it is, if you're a hard worker, you're going to find success. If you're diligent at it, you can do really well for yourself. But we knew this kid was smart, and he was always doing well in school and had a good
Work ethic, right?
Yeah. And so I knew, being an engineer, I knew he could go really far, but it wasn't for him, and thank goodness, because that's where he ended up is probably where he's meant to be.
The only reason that I'm here instead of here today is because I've been visualizing and manifesting this lifestyle. Whatever your dream is, I encourage you to dream bigger, stick with it, and don't give up. It took me years to get here, but I'm here. I needed money, what I'm saying? I hate the concept of working a job, and I saw in my personal situation, I was lined up to want to be an entrepreneur, because I was never someone who follows the rules. I don't like people saying oh well, this is just how life is. I always question that. And I think like, okay, like what can I do to find a shorter path to where I want to go, or, you know, make it more fun or something.
And he realized that's exactly what he wanted to do, something in the entrepreneurial world. During this time, he would move some packs here and there with his roommates, and then Will met his now current girlfriend, and they would start a CBD tincture brand together.
But yeah, we started with CBD tinctures. That progressed because a bunch of people, like in the beginning of any new space, like there's no established marketplace. How does a new brand ready to come into this go and get kilos of CBD isolate or distillate or whatever? So, you know, they're pretty much going to Google and looking for it, going for other brands and asking other brands, hey, who's your supplier? Can we buy from your supplier? So because we started advertising our CBD tincture brand, we started getting a bunch of people doing inquiries of like, hey, can I buy distillate from you? Can I buy isolate from you? And like, at first we were turning them down because we're like, no, like we sell tinctures, that's what we do. And then I was like, after like the 7th person we turned down, I was like, why am I turning down money? Like I need money. So let's figure out how to sell distillates and isolates. And so I was like, talked aloud and I'm like, hey, can I just like refer people to you and drop ship stuff? And they're like, yeah, sure. So I started doing that, and then like people kept asking for lower prices, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna go that low. And then I was like, okay, I'll find another lab. And I kind of kept repeating the process of like, you know, more inquiries would come in, and it's like, okay, now people want the biomass or the flour or this, that, or the other. And so it was a constant learning about the whole supply chain and extraction and farms and everything. And basically that pretty much all diverted my attention away from the tincture business to just like, okay, I'm gonna get on the wholesale side, and it seems like I can make a lot of money like really fast on the wholesale side. And that's pretty much, I spent like 1.5 to 2 years doing that from like the beginning of midway into 2019. Like we were probably doing the tincture business like 6-7 months, like a short amount of time before it's like, oh, let's just pivot to bulk.
So Will naturally transitioned into the CBD isolate and other isolate wholesale business early on. That eventually evolved into wholesale and over time into wholesale. This path, starting in wholesale and then moving into branded retail products, is a common progression among many of the successful entrepreneurs I've spoken with in this space.
We pivoted to bulk, and pretty much until, I guess, Base Smoke started like 2020, like I don't know what time in 2020, maybe towards the end of 2020, like November-ish. And that's kind of like when Base Smoke started. I think basically when Base Smoke started is when I saw everything going from CBD distillate, you know, full spectrum CBD, broad spectrum, because there's like everyone was trying to do THC free stuff and like all of that. Once I saw Delta 8 start popping, I was like, first off, it's like, what the hell is this? Like, what is this stuff that's like THC? Like, you guys are definitely gonna, every time something new came up, I was like, you guys are gonna get like the DEA coming after. Like when I hear other people being like, oh yeah, we've been moving Delta 8 recently, and like I'm like, that is super sketchy. Like I'm not trying to go to jail. I'm not trying to get in trouble, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, not gonna do with that. And then eventually like I talked to a couple of lawyers, and they're like, yeah, like this is totally legal. I was like, well shit. So I was like, okay, I'll start trying some. I tried some. It was like, I mean, you get high, like you do get high off the vapes and the gummies especially. So it's like, okay, like this is a product that I think I should do a brand around.
They usually begin in wholesale, building up capital by flipping packs or bricks of isolate. And once they've generated enough cash flow, they pivot into retail and launch branded products. This gradual approach allows them to grow sustainably without relying heavily on outside investment. Instead of immediately jumping into consumer packaged goods, they use wholesale profits to fund their retail ventures or their retail branded product ventures and their marketing efforts. The benefit here is pacing. Building a consumer brand takes time. It requires developing awareness, trust, and a loyal customer base before sales can really scale. Starting in wholesale lets entrepreneurs stack capital while testing the market, which reduces the risk. Now, that said, the wholesale market has become far more competitive. If you don't have deep pockets or big investors, the playbook is clear. Start with wholesale, build your reserves, and then transition into branded consumer products. Use your wholesale profits to fuel marketing and growth on the consumer side, or the DTC side, or the selling wholesale of your own branded product side. See, but like I said, here's the catch though. While wholesale might deliver larger profits up front, margins are shrinking fast, like I mentioned earlier.
Everything on the wholesale side, it's a crashing commodities market. So when there's a new commodity, it's like the price of, I'll give this like super easy to understand example. CBD isolate used to be worth like right at the beginning of the farm bill, like it went from like $10,000 a kilo to like $8,000, $6,000 a kilo. Now it costs $200 a kilo, maybe less. It depends on like who you're getting from or what. But like from $10,000 to $200 in a matter of 6 years is crazy. So you can imagine that every step along the way, it's like, oh, I just closed a deal on this many kilos at $6,000 a kilo, and then 2 weeks later, it's like, hey, the price is $5,000 a kilo. So it's like, fuck, I just lost all my customers because they went to the next guy who sold them to at $5,000. So now I've got to go to the lab, be like, look, we can get at $4,800, and like, and then I can go get the customers back or whatever. And yeah, so it was a really shitty race to the bottom there, where it's like you never hold your customer because there's always someone who's willing to knock off another $100 per kilo and therefore take the customer. And that was like the whole entire process. It was like, okay, I need to start a brand. The ones who are making all the money are the ones who have the brand, because they're having a huge markups anyway, from bulk to the final resale, whether it's an e-commerce or a distro brand or what. So that's when I was like, okay, let's make a brand.
As supply keeps climbing up, prices keep dropping. For example, the price per pound on the wholesale market has been falling rapidly. Yet the price of an eighth for consumers hasn't really shifted. That also just kind of depends on which region you're in. But that gap matters. The wholesale margins are getting squeezed hard, which retail consumer margins remain relatively stable. Over the long term, companies focused on B2C, business to consumer, almost always outperform B2B wholesale companies, at least in the long term in my mind, when it comes to profitability. That's not universally true always, but it's often enough to be the rule, not the exception. Now, wholesale today is more about hustling, making calls, networking, and flipping volume. On the other hand, though, the B2C game, especially in e-commerce, is all about marketing. And that, without question, is one of Will's strongest skills.
Hey there, YouTube. Welcome to another episode of highly entertaining, but also educational videos. Today, we're going to be talking about something that's been making waves in the community, THC flower.
As you've probably noticed online, Base Smokes is everywhere. Will has mastered the art of online marketing. Now, let's break down some specific tactics he and Base Smokes have used so you can learn from them and potentially apply them to your own business. One of Base Smokes' most powerful strategies has been the collab brands. Will partners with influencers and celebrities, proposing joint ventures where he handles the heavy lifting, sourcing products, running the website, and fulfilling orders. The influencer's job, pure marketing. For example, Base Smokes has collab brands with influencers and rappers, like the famous YouTuber Mr. THC and their brand Hella Slumped.
What's going on, guys? It's Will. I'm the founder of Base Smokes. Today I'm here with Mr. THC, my good friend Luis, and business partner in Hella Slumped. So today we're going to talk about the inception of the brand Hella Slumped and how we came about doing this, and I guess
also the other famous influencer Goblin with Only Gas, and then also with OTF rapper, Little Dirk affiliate Duty Low.
What you did, so I hate you. Cheated on me way before the paper. Why you call the police on your man? He on papers, you know they gon' take him. Put a 4 pound my cup. I ain't fucking lying my nuts. Wook shoot, I rely on his guts. Banshee boy, I know he gon' clutch. How you doing?
good, bro.
With Slow Down, Low Down, which is really just more of like a drink. And then, of course, in recent times, he's now had the collab brand with Little Baby with the Wham brand. Now, Will also operates as a 3PL, or a third-party logistics provider, out of the Base Smokes distribution hub in North Carolina, managing fulfillment for other creators' brands. For instance, he handles distribution for Instagram influencer Seeds and Keys and their Cowboys Reserve line. And we'll come back to this later because it's an important piece of Bay Smokes' scaling strategy in my mind. So stick around till the end. So these collab brands are brilliant in a lot of ways because they allow Bay Smokes to sell more products while leveraging other people's audiences, their own, the influencers and rappers' platforms. Instead of trying to do everything solo, Will amplifies his reach through influencers effectively casting a wider net online. Now, the power of the collab brand, I think, was originally learned by Will when he did his first collab brand, or at least the one that I'm aware of in my research online, is when he did the collab brand with the rapper Tory Lanez and the Black Leprechaun brand.
What's up? I'm Tory Lanez. This is my new segment, Smoking with the Leprechaun, and we about to get this shit lit. It's about to be fucking rocking. You're about to know why my shit's better than everybody. So I go by the name of Tory Lanez, and this is my friend Will from Bay Smokes.
Now this was 4 years ago plus, and I remember covering it in some of my news coverage because it was the first time we started to see people starting to sell Delta 8 products online through major creator platforms. Like I saw Nelk interview Tory Lanez talking about the Black Leprechaun strain, the Black Leprechaun brand. And I covered it because I was like, whoa, this is the very beginning of like online e-commerce.
It really is.
I mean, we got to do whatever the guest every week wants us to do, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm getting a little too high now, though.
Yeah, I've never been this relaxed in my life. Like, it's like,
yeah, but
there's no way the Black Leprechaun doesn't hit
Leprechaun is why we all feel this way.
Now, is blackleprechaun.com active right now? Can we go to blackleprechaun.com and buy?
Yes.
Are you kidding me?
Actually go
in like anywhere in America?
You can go to Black Leprechaun.
This came out August 11th. This has got 2.6 million views. Okay, so guys, the ecosystem for advertising now in traditional YouTube sense is starting to unfold when we talk about, being marketed. Okay, because the real key here, guys, is that there's a website where people can go to purchase after they watch content. Okay, so this is starting to really expand. This is starting to be a reality.
Of course, come to find out years later, who was behind that? Well, that was, of course, a young William Goodall of Bay Smokes. But this was the very first collab brand. Now, this is not still around anymore, I don't think. I don't think the Black Leprechaun brand is around anymore. But I think it gave Will a lot of insight into the power of these collab brands and what you can do with them and how you can get your brand or your collab brand on major platforms and market it.
That long into running the brand with him, like maybe a month in, he goes on a podcast with the Nelk Boys, and that was just like first 15 minutes of the video was like a screaming ad for the business, basically. And so for free, not $1 out of my pocket, and this was in the very early stages of my business, like I mean, this is probably month 4 of my business. I get this Nelk Boy promo, and they're at like a high point of everything going on, and they just launched the podcast, so it was a big win. It was a big win on the board.
Did you see a spike in your account? Like, did you see a spike in sales after that?
Oh, for sure. The second after Tory left their thing, he called me. He's like, bro. He's like, Will, you better fucking be ready for this because I just did a Nelk Boy podcast. It's gonna get millions of views. Like the first 15 minutes was a great ad. He's like, prepare. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, really?
Can you tell the people how much you did in that week in sales?
In that week, we probably did an extra $1 million.
Off of one podcast, one segment.
I mean, we hyped it up as well afterwards. Like anytime we do anything, like we're doing more things to amplify the moment. But it's like, yeah, that was a huge boost of like, boom, like month 4 of the business.
The best entrepreneurs know how to work through people, not just by themselves. And when it comes to content creation, Bay Smokes started small. Back in 2020, Will was creating videos himself.
Ready? What's up, guys? It's William from Bay Smokes. Today we're at South Beach giving people our Delta 8 flower. See what they think between this and regular tree. Let's go.
Over time, he began deeply studying the internet, learning marketing tactics from multiple industries and adapting them to the ZA space.
So you have an idea, hold on.
In 2022, one tactic exploded in popularity: rapper promo videos. Originally, these videos were mostly used by trappers and wholesale distributors. The formula was simple. You pay a rapper or celebrity to record a shout out saying something like,
1, 2, 3, go.
You got it?
Yeah, go.
All right. What's up, man? Y'all already know, man. It's your boy, Drizzy Drake, coming to you, man. Whenever y'all in LA, man, tapping with my nigga, man, Don Pax, man. He got all that shit, man.
Hey, man, same man, it's Kid and D Sauce Walker, man. We out here in the California sun, having California fun. We out here next to the cyber truck, we get cyber bucks. If you want to get bucks like us, you make sure you hit my boys PK Guards. PK Guards, gonna get it straight to the door, and that's for sure. We're gonna make you to get the bread, to get you ahead. Highs, lows, whatever. Just holler at us, PK Guards. We dripping, we splashing in high fashion, getting the cash in. Ooh.
Right? The rapper would then post the video on their social media, tagging the company, which often led to hundreds of thousands, if not potentially millions of views. Now, while most people using this tactic were moving bulk wholesale, Will realize something that others didn't. If you direct that same marketing power towards consumers instead of wholesalers, you can make far more long-term money. Now, like I said, this is a tactic that's been utilized before, but he definitely ran with it and did really well. So he flipped this model, right? He put rappers to promote Bass Smoke's website directly to consumers and paired this with another genius tactic, the free eighth giveaway.
You know, we do the whole free eighth thing because it's a shock. People hear free eighth, like, what the fuck, free eighth? So it's like, we just shock people, they go to the website, they read about it, and holy shit, illegal?
See, here's how it worked. Bass Smokes would run a promotion offering a free eighth of flour. Now, to claim it, you had to fill out a form on their website with your name, address, and email, and cover the shipping costs. Now, Bass Smokes fulfills the order, and now they have your contact info, email, phone number, and payment details. This strategy combined with influencer promotion exploded. For example, Will worked with 21 Savage, a very famous rapper who has over 20 million Instagram followers. 21 posted a video promoting the free eighth deal, which went viral.
21 Savage, and I teamed up with Bass Smokes to give all my fans a free 3-5. So y'all tap in with Bass Smokes, hit that link, and get your free 3-5.
Boy Chiso, and I teamed up with Bass Smokes, convinced them to get everybody a free Tray 5, and they get it to your doorstep anywhere in the US. Make sure y'all go tap in.
Now, some people questioned why would Will want to spend anywhere from $25,000 to $100,000 on a rapper promo only to give away free product? The answer is CAC, customer acquisition cost. Also, it's just digital marketing as well. So in e-commerce, knowing your CAC, right, your customer acquisition cost, is everything. Bass Smokes essentially paid up front to acquire long-term customers. Once you get that free eighth, whether you like it or not, Bass Smokes now has you in their ecosystem, their digital ecosystem. They can send you marketing emails, text campaigns, and retargeted ads until you buy again or if you unsubscribe. So to summarize this strategy, use viral influencer content to reach massive audiences. Then offer a free deal that requires filling out a form on your website. Collect the customer data, email, phone, and their credit card for payment for the shipping, which is anywhere from $5 to $10, right? And then fulfill the free order to build trust, obviously. And then from there, you now have their contact info. So then you need to remarket to those customers with email, SMS, and ads to drive repeat sales. And this classic funnel, this classic e-commerce funnel, converts virality into long-term revenue. It's simple, but incredibly effective. Another big factor in Bass Smoke's success is the affiliate and influencer outreach program. They've built a dedicated team focused on constantly reaching out to creators and sending free products and getting video reviews in exchange.
Hey, y'all, Bass Smokes sent me over this pack. Damn, Bass Smokes didn't disappoint.
But I did win the scratch off last night. Every time you order with Bass Smokes, you get a little scratch off. Last night I won $25, so I'll probably go on their site, get some of their high-end strains just to test it out, see how it do.
While this is a common tactic in e-commerce, Bass Smokes has absolutely scaled it aggressively, creating a steady stream of user-generated content to fuel their marketing engine. And at the end of the day, Will's genius lies in combining creative marketing strategies with efficient, funnel systems to turn attention into conversions. Few people in this space do it better. Now, like I said, Will studies marketing strategies from other industries and adapts them to fit his business model. The two industries most ahead of the curve when it comes to digital marketing are without a doubt the music industry and the adult industry. These two fields consistently lead in capturing attention online through innovative marketing tactics. And a good example of this, the perfect example of this, is when Little Baby and the Wham brand partnered with Bay Smokes to sell Wham nationwide. The marketing campaign was masterfully executed on multiple levels. See, Will collaborated with Little Baby's company, The Holding Company, and they leveraged the music industry marketing tactics to generate millions of impressions and views, massively boosting Bay Smoke's exposure. And one of the most interesting strategies was their use of headline-driven marketing. So when Little Baby released his album, Wham, which went #1 on the charts, the online rollout was intense. It was also in parallel with the drop. See, the headlines and graphics started popping up across major hip hop pages, claiming that within the first 15 days of launch, the Wham brand had already generated $30 million in revenue.
Hey, yo, pass me the mic, man. Lil Baby made 30 mil in only 15 days selling his brand new product, Wham. That's crazy.
And that headline, well, that alone grabbed everyone's attention and without a doubt drove thousands of additional sales. But then things got even more interesting. See, the claim became controversial. People debated whether it was even possible to generate that much revenue so quickly, with some calling it a flat-out lie.
No Shopify, they showed a screenshot of the dashboard that supposedly they did $30 million in sales. If anybody who knows Shopify, that has a Shopify website where they sell things, which I do, that is not the current way that the dashboard looks right now. Shopify has updated the dashboard that shows the sales and it doesn't look like that. So just based off that, that just shows that it's just all cap. But what you can learn is that the internet is anything that somebody makes it to be. The internet is fake. The internet is false. Anybody can build any narrative off of the internet because it's a fictional place. These people have all these fancy cars, this jewelry, show all this money, but you don't know if that is real. Anybody can portray themselves to be anything that they want on the internet. And knowing this shows you how you can utilize social media to portray yourself or portray your brand in any narrative that you want. And you can run a story like how Little Baby's doing. Oh, we sold 30 million.
But here's the point. Controversy fuels attention, and attention drives sales if you have the right marketing funnel or if you have the right conversion funnel. By sparking this debate, they triggered a second wave of free marketing as people flocked the Wham website to see what all the hype was about. And that's the power of understanding the attention economy. If you've built the right infrastructure, attention converts directly into sales. And that's exactly what Will and Bay Smokes have mastered. And when we look at the holding company, right, Little Baby's team, when we break down the tactics that was used by the holding company and the Bay Smokes team, it's clear that they operate more like a music marketing agency than a traditional ZA brand. Why does that matter? Well, because to make a musician successful, you have to win over the masses. And music labels are some of the best in the world at running large-scale promotional campaigns. Applying that same mindset to online sales is an incredibly powerful combination. Now, it's obviously hard to do, but if you can do it, very powerful. Now, of course, marketing alone isn't enough. In the long run, the product itself has to be great for these strategies to work. And a lot of companies make the bulk of their revenue by selling their branded products wholesale to massive smoke shop distribution networks. And that's a different game entirely, right? You're not trying to necessarily win over the masses. Well, you are, but it's a little bit different. See, the difference in the game is entirely, right? It's all about winning people when they come in the store, where packaging, displays, and visual merchandising determine sales.
But yeah, I mean, just as you continue to grow what is, primarily an e-commerce business, is like the main people you need, until you get into the manufacturing fulfillment side of it as well, is like customer support people, marketing people, and sales people, because we never stopped trying to make the wholesale work That was what I'd say is my biggest weakness as an entrepreneur, is like I dumped a lot of resources into trying to make wholesale work, and I never actually figured out like the packaging needs to be great, and that's what is going to allow you to succeed in wholesale. I mean, we since have figured that out, and I think we're doing a pretty good. For you to succeed in store, your brand, your products have to be packaged. Yeah, they have to be packaged in a way that is how the consumer packaged goods section operates for in-store. Like, it has to have a pop display, a point of purchase display box that has like, it explains what it is. It has to basically outperform the other products in store, more so than anything. Even though our brand was marketed way more than any other brand on the shelf, and probably the brand name was more well known, we just had ugly packaging that just like wasn't fit for performing in stores. So it just was never a big sector for us until we fixed the packaging. But yeah, that's kind of my point in that is, that's something that I never really paid attention to, because it's like, hey, like e-commerce is working really well. The packaging, it's not very great, but it doesn't really matter. People buy the product, they get it, it's a good product, they open it, they use it, and that's that. But yeah, once I actually like dialed in the packaging and like made that whole experience better for in-store, that picked up significantly and became like a lot bigger portion of our team. And so now we have a bunch of salespeople and a sales executive that's leading the team and everything.
But when you're selling direct to consumer online, the game changes. It's all about winning on the internet. It's winning on the internet through smart digital marketing. So to recap, in wholesale, you win with the term called visual merchandising, which is presenting your products in a way that drives in-store sales. Now, let's rewind a bit. Will started Base Smokes just 5 years ago at the age of 22. He built everything brick by brick, with his girlfriend's sister and her husband becoming integral parts of the business early on.
So I was the first employee that Base Smokes had. I was working at the hospital. I was managing 2 emergency rooms at that time. And I came to visit my sister one time. She was living in Miami. And I had just gotten into a car accident the day before. And I remember I got to Miami and like I was in pain and like I was feeling kind of cranky. And I remember Will came up to me and he's like, "Hey, try this. It's a new vape I got." And I didn't even know that they, had this thing going on or at that time. And I tried it. I liked it. I'm like, "Oh, this is cool." And then he's like, "Hey, do you want to answer emails for me? Like, do you want to do customer service and help me with my my IMs that I'm getting from people asking questions, and then answer emails about orders, whatever." So I'm like, "Sure, I'll do it." I thought it was gonna be like, super quick, and then I don't know, I liked it. I thought it was really awesome. I thought the whole mission, the whole thing behind what we were doing was pretty special. So I gave up my hospital job with my 401k and my insurance, my PTO, and I'm like, okay, let's go for it. Let's do it.
Were you a little bit nervous about doing that? Or?
I was super nervous, but I trust my sister, trust my family, and yeah, now we're here.
I was a second employee, and I started doing reaching out to influencers, doing customer support, helping Arlie on the back end when the back end was just growing, barely starting. I'm actually a plumber. We owned a plumbing company, and then I ended up getting hurt, and I needed to get surgery, and I was down, recovering, and Will was like, "Hey, do you want a job?" I'm like, "Okay."
Actually, I think it was the other way around. You were like, "I am so bored. I don't know what to do," because he was in a
Oh, I was in a sling.
And he couldn't really do much. And he's like, help me. So I'm like, yeah, call Will. See if he has anything for you.
And that was it.
Growing pains, honestly.
Lessons learned.
Yeah, a lot of lessons learned. This is a very special market. It isn't like you can go find the things that you need, at the store. So that's been a challenge, especially for me coming from the hospital world. Like, I've never worked in a warehouse. I've never had to do inventory control or anything like that. So it's been a lot of learning, a lot of researching, a lot of talking to people. We've made some great friends along the way, but honestly, it's just been trial and error. Right now, we have 18 full-time employees. We're hiring a couple more. So yeah, we're growing. I remember when we were just 4 people, and now it's 18. honestly, like it was, like I said, a lot of learning. Some of the growing pains that we had were, totally on me. I was like, oh, we don't need to order 10,000 of this packaging. I'm just gonna order 5,000 because last month we only needed 4,000, so we'll be fine. And then boom, we sold 10,000 of that. So I was like, oh man, like,
but again,
I under-ordered.
That's a lesson learned. So now we don't do that. Don't do that anymore.
And then also, like, overnight, you're like, I had 5 people yesterday and that was enough, and today I need 8 people. So hiring fast enough, getting people trained fast enough. And also the logistics, you have to tell our carriers, we were expecting to ship, 100 boxes today, but then you show up with 200, they get a little mad at you, so.
See, back in 2021, Will was working with a 3PL company and manufacturer in Colorado. But due to fulfillment issues and his growing order volume, he realized that the best move was to set up his own fulfillment and manufacturing centers.
And so basically just people to handle, like every time there's this like new operational need of the company, it's like, it's, adding on more and more people for that. It wasn't until we actually decided to move away from third-party manufacturers and ultimately as well third-party logistics providers to do our own fulfillment of orders and do our own manufacturing of orders. That's when we started having to hire a lot more people, because that's like, now everything is in-house and everything is like on us, so it's somebody to, and this is like real recently. I mean, I'm not real, it feels recently, I guess, but like 2 years ago or so, it was like when we had our first warehouse and we were manufacturing the stuff ourselves, and that was really, in the TA wave of things, where it's just like, hey, we're seeing the opportunity to grow fast, and the manufacturer that we were with at the time just wasn't like quickly responding to stuff with us. And so that was really the most important factor of why we wanted to move that in-house, is just so that we could be quick. I kind of stressed this before in some of our conversations, that like speed of like having an idea and then acting on that idea was like that's like a really important factor that I view as like why we've been able to be successful, is because whenever we have ideas, we quickly act on them and make them happen. Both in marketing and in terms of just like product development, or like, oh, I think we need to do this or change this or test out this and see if people like that or what.
He used capital he'd built up. He moved the entire operation to North Carolina, his home state, and in my opinion, the capital of the US. Now, to really understand Bay Smoke's success, you have to look at the back end of the business. When I visited their distribution center in North Carolina, I was blown away. They ship anywhere from 2,000 to 5,000 small packages a day directly to consumers. I literally watched 2 semi-trucks, massive ones from major postal carriers, pull up and load 6 to 7 different pallets full of packages. It blew my mind, right? This is the future. Ran like a well-oiled machine, efficient, organized, and it's scalable.
Yeah, the first time I ever went into my warehouse it was back in Colorado, I guess. So we started doing like a 3PL type of thing with a manufacturer. Like we basically convinced them to do our shipping for us. And the first time I went in and saw like the shelving of like how much was just like Bay Smoke stuff, like it was like, oh shit, it's like a lot of stuff. Because in my head, like the only reference I have, of like selling products is like, the trap, right? It's like, we got a couple bags and pounds, and even like boxes, it's like, it's not like that much space, right? But you grow a big business and it's all just a number on a screen. Like, because also like social media, I feel like I'm desensitized to like the number on the screen. It's like, oh, it's a number growing up, it's just more viewers. Oh, a video went viral. Like that doesn't mean as much, versus with a product business, oh, we went viral. That means like we have a warehouse full of shit that we're selling. That's like, it means thousands of orders. People take so long to do an order, and it's like, it's a lot of moving pieces. So it's really cool. The second time I was like in my warehouse was in Miami, and walking in, and same thing. It was like a kind of similar experience. It was like, holy shit, there's like multiple rows of stuff, and this is all Bay Smokes. Like, this is crazy. Again, it's like all just numbers on a screen until I'm like at the warehouse, and it's like, whoa, like this is sick. And now this is our warehouse. Like, this is the coolest thing ever.
just watching it grow. By the next time I come back, I know it's gonna be like probably twice as many people, like twice as many rows of everything. Like everything is even more efficient, better. Like it's like this is our video game. Everyone on the team is like super dialed in. We're super obsessed with just making the customer's experience for. This is the first generation of e-commerce, and we are committed to make this thing top notch, top tier, legendary. We're writing history. That's what we're doing. And this is the coolest thing ever for us.
Now, this strong back-end infrastructure is what gives Will leverage when approaching influencers and rappers. He can say, well, we'll handle everything. You just market the brand. Another smart move Will made recently was hiring a professional CEO with experience running a major e-commerce company. I got to meet him, very smart guy.
My name's Curtis. I'm the CEO, and I'm here because Will told me to be here. So.
Absolutely. And when did you take on the CEO role?
I just started in July of this year, a couple months ago.
What were some of the things that made you wanna take on that role, like in terms of take the job?
Really, I was talking to Will for a couple months beforehand, but I went down to Miami and met with him for about a week before we even accepted the role. And really, I was just hashing out what his vision is and what his plan for the company is. And we spent about a week together before I even agreed to come on and work with him. But Will's incredibly visionary in the space. I think he has such a clear vision of what he wants to bring to the market and what he wants of the company itself. So it's really encouraging to come on board with somebody like that and work with them.
What's your background too? Again, I've
been in Fortune 500 companies for about 15 years. I worked with a lot of startups and launched a lot of e-com companies before coming here. So
absolutely.
Curtis, the CEO, he used to be one of my employees when I was at FedEx. He was 19. When he started, he was 19. I met him when he was 19 years old, and we've known each other ever since. He worked for me at FedEx, and I was retired, and he took over the CEO position, and he asked me to come and help him out. So it's a win-win. Never burn your bridges. You never know take care of your people, and people take care of you. Yeah, I've known Curtis since he was 19. And now he's my boss, and I used to be his boss. The roles were reversed.
What, in terms of like the future trajectory, you think, what is it? Is it looking to the moon?
It's definitely to the moon. Our growth in the past about 4 months has been tremendous, and with all the partnerships and brand deals that he's working on and everything that we have in the works, it's phenomenal, the success rate of the company. And the employees that have been here since day one have a hard time believing it, and all the partners that we're working with, we just keep telling them that we're going to 10x the company, 10x it again, and keep going. And they saw it grow already at that rate, and a lot of people are coming around starting to believe us. So
absolutely. What do you think is needed to I guess take it to the next level, I guess, which you guys already have, but what are you bringing, I guess, in terms of now the CEO, like obviously the experience, but like with that, like
really my job as the CEO is just to continue to get things off of Will's plate so he can operate in an environment where he thrives. And he's very charismatic and dynamic as a person, and really once he starts building those relationships, those are long lasting. So I need to continue to get things off of his plate and keep him in the fast lane so the business can continue to grow at a very exponential rate. So.
And this was smart. This freed Will to focus on his strengths: marketing, strategy, and scaling partnerships.
Being in business teaches you some great lessons about life. When you have a skill, focus on that. When you have a weakness, find someone who completes that weakness for you. People work better in collaboration with each other, working together, not against each other.
And if I had to sum up why Will and Bay Smokes have been so successful, I'd boil it down to two main things: elite marketing capabilities, understanding how to generate attention and convert that into sales. That's definitely the most important thing, I would say. And then on the other side, an exceptional back-end operation. the systems, people, and logistics needed to fulfill massive demand, set up to deal with direct to consumer, also to deal with, the wholesale buyers as well. But this is why I loved seeing what the 2018 Farm Bill has done for entrepreneurs like Will. It opened the door for people without massive investors or deep pockets to succeed. Will dropped out of college, started small, and scaled his business brick by brick. Something that's nearly impossible to do in a heavily regulated ZA market, state market more so. So the hemp and market is about competition. There's no barriers to entry. With relatively low startup costs, people with a good idea and strong execution can actually compete and thrive. Now, while Will and others are crushing it, there's still regulatory risk if the 2018 Farm Bill gets overturned or significantly changed. The entire landscape could shift. Now, Will knows this, and personally, I believe there's enough lobbying power behind the current system to keep this federal market open for at least 3 to 4 more years, or until we reach federal legalization. But truthfully, no one really knows. At the end of the day, Will's story is one of consistency, persistence, calculated risks, and intelligence. He recognized the opportunity, acted on it, and refined his approach year after year. By 26 years old, he's built an 8-figure online ZA company, and I think it would be a mistake to bet against him. So I want to give a little bit of context really quickly, is that a lot of this footage was shot in 2024, the end of 2024. So there's actually been a lot that's happened since in 2025 for Base Smokes. They've moved very quickly. They've expanded the amount of people that they have working for them, a lot more people. And they also have some very big new collabs coming with some really big artists that I'm sure you're going to hear about here very soon. But it's a testament to the speed of which Base Smokes, Will, his whole team moves at. And I think for any entrepreneur, if you can study, one of the big things that he does really well is moves very quickly. So a lot can happen in this industry, and a lot can happen, with the Base Smokes team in only 6 months, 7 months, 8 months. So I just want to give you guys that context. Anyways, that wraps up this episode of the High Design documentary series, where we tell stories and analyze the strategies behind the most successful entrepreneurs in this space. If you guys like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe, comment down below. Let us know what's your thoughts on Base Smokes. We'd love to hear your honest opinions. Anyways, this is LMC signing out.
Something I've realized is that there are a million different ways to be successful. No one is inherently better than the other. But the key element in all of them is persistence. To be truly good enough in any field, you have to stick with it long enough that you're able to master it.